This might be a big one. Yeah, here it is. That's a big one. Oh, shit. Wow. Oh my God. I gotta get the hell out of here.
In the pre-dawn darkness of November 9th, 2025, Super Typhoon Uwan, recognized internationally as Fung-wong, struck the eastern shores of the Philippines. The massive storm hit with devastating intensity, generating continuous winds of approximately 185 kilometers per hour and peak gusts that exceeded 230 kilometers per hour. Torrential rainfall saturated large portions of Luzon Island as the cyclone advanced from the Pacific Ocean toward the interior. Uwan's center passed through the coastal territory of Aurora province before moving across Catanduanes, Camarines Sur, and additional central territories. The nation's meteorological agency issued the most severe warning level for multiple provinces, alerting residents to deadly wind conditions, sudden flooding, and coastal surges strong enough to submerge entire seaside settlements. Prior to the typhoon's impact, Philippine authorities initiated one of the most extensive preventive evacuations undertaken in recent memory. Approximately 900,000 individuals received mandatory orders to abandon their residences and relocate to designated safety zones, including educational institutions, sports facilities, and religious buildings converted into emergency shelters. Armed forces personnel and emergency management teams positioned themselves throughout threatened areas, ready to conduct rescue missions after the storm's passage. Numerous domestic and overseas flights faced cancellation as aviation hubs throughout Luzon halted their activities. Mass transit systems ceased functioning, and primary roadways became impassable due to premature inundation and toppled vegetation, stranding numerous countryside settlements before the typhoon's full force materialized. While the cyclone battered the eastern territories, accounts of extensive devastation started emerging. Powerful gusts tore roofing materials from dwellings, pulled trees from the ground, and destroyed electrical infrastructure, plunging whole districts into complete darkness. Throughout shoreline zones, enormous surges pushed far inland, obliterating fishing vessels and timber structures erected close to the waterline. Rising waters rapidly reached waist level and occasionally chest level depths in certain locations. Within highland territories, the relentless precipitation combined with waterlogged earth created mudslides, severing connections to isolated settlements. Those who experienced the storm described its noise as an unending rumble, resembling a perpetual locomotive tearing through their communities. Throughout Middle and Upper Luzon, countless residents found themselves deprived of electrical service. The widespread outage stretched from the Bicol territory northward into sections of Isabela and Cagayan provinces. Telecommunications infrastructure sustained damage, hindering officials' ability to contact cut-off zones and evaluate the complete scope of destruction. Emergency personnel encountered tremendous obstacles as collapsed structures and floodwaters obstructed transportation routes, compelling them to utilize watercraft and military vehicles for supply distribution. Authorities cautioned that restoration activities might require several weeks, particularly in countryside communities where basic infrastructure was previously underdeveloped. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. spoke to the population, calling for composure and collaboration. He stressed that protecting human life rather than possessions represented the administration's foremost concern, and requested that people comply with evacuation directives promptly. Emergency squads from military and law enforcement organizations stood ready to assist municipal administrations, while relief organizations commenced distribution of provisions, potable water, and healthcare resources. Notwithstanding these initiatives, officials acknowledged that reaching numerous severely affected settlements remained extraordinarily challenging because of the wind's ferocity and the quantity of wreckage littering principal thoroughfares. The crisis situation grew more complex given that the nation was still recuperating from Typhoon Kalmaegi, which had arrived mere weeks previously and claimed over 200 lives. Numerous neighborhoods had not yet completely reconstructed their dwellings when Uwan descended, intensifying the hardship experienced by thousands of households. Humanitarian organizations voiced apprehension that provisional accommodations might become excessively crowded, elevating disease risks among displaced persons. Throughout low-elevation zones, rescue workers issued alerts regarding potential water pollution and inadequate supplies of safe drinking water. Images of destruction emerged from across the archipelago. In Catanduanes, inhabitants recorded massive surges breaching protective barriers and washing away residences. In Camarines Norte, emergency teams navigated submerged roadways to locate stranded community members. In Aurora, the territory initially impacted by the cyclone, whole residential areas lay demolished, with corrugated steel roofing twisted into piles of wreckage. Within the capital metropolis of Manila, intense rainfall and forceful winds felled vegetation and advertising structures, triggering electrical failures and transportation disruption. Although the city avoided the storm's most ferocious winds, significant impacts occurred. While the typhoon proceeded on its westward trajectory, weather specialists cautioned that threats persisted. Even following Uwan's center moving beyond Luzon, the cyclone's peripheral precipitation bands kept releasing substantial rainfall throughout extensive regions, maintaining dangers of rapid flooding and slope failures. Weather scientists forecast that the typhoon would diminish somewhat while traversing the South China Sea, yet would retain sufficient strength to generate further inundation in western territories. Officials implored citizens to stay vigilant regarding subsequent effects, emphasizing that numerous casualties happen not during initial landfall, but throughout following days when waterways overflow and unstable hillsides give way. Uwan's swift strengthening above the Philippine Sea generated fresh concerns among researchers examining severe weather phenomena. Specialists observed that exceptionally elevated ocean temperatures contributed to the storm's rapid expansion, a pattern aligned with worldwide climate transformation tendencies. The Philippines, which encounters more than 20 tropical cyclones annually, continues among the planet's most susceptible territories to climate-linked catastrophes. Each successive storm highlights the pressing requirement for enhanced infrastructure, improved metropolitan development, and worldwide collaboration regarding climate adaptation. As darkness descended over the devastated island, innumerable families gathered within dimly lit evacuation facilities, hearing the gales howl beyond the walls. Community volunteers distributed hot food and warming coverings, while regional administrators labored ceaselessly to re-establish electrical service and remove debris. Notwithstanding the tremendous destruction, the collective determination among Philippine citizens remained intact. Confronting one of the strongest storms witnessed in 10 years, everyday people united, distributing sustenance, consolation, and optimism. One displaced individual from Aurora province expressed it plainly. "We've experienced home destruction previously, yet we've never surrendered hope." Ultimately, Super Typhoon Uwan serves as a powerful illustration of nature's immense force and humanity's vulnerable position against it. The cyclone carved a corridor of obliteration throughout the Philippines, challenging the fortitude and determination of millions. Nevertheless, amid the turmoil, what surfaced was not solely devastation, but additionally an exceptional display of cooperation, bravery, and empathy. Households who lost possessions discovered refuge through others' generosity. Neighborhoods fractured by wind and water commenced reconstruction collectively, through individual demonstrations of perseverance. While floodwaters gradually retreat and sunshine reappears along damaged coastlines, the genuine assessment of this calamity will extend beyond merely tallying demolished structures or severed electrical connections, but will acknowledge the steadfast character of individuals who persistently recover following each tempest. Uwan shall fade as every storm eventually does. However, the narrative it creates of endurance, unity, and optimism will endure as evidence of the indomitable spirit of the Philippine people.
Sa tindahan ko, ba na. Bilis oh. Malabaw na so tukawan sa waiting shed. May ba na sa kubon.
Malabo pero makapit. Sinan dapit.